Hi guys, welcome back to my channel and to a Unhaul video today. I have not done one of these on my channel in a long time. I think I've only ever done one before, so it's not something we commonly do here on my channel. And this is actually a refilm, so I really do have to apologise for the lighting. It is not great. It is now the evening, so I can't really get the sunlight because it's raining like high hell. But also it's the evening time, so there's not much sun. But I was editing this video ready for tomorrow and I just didn't like it, and I just didn't want to put out some video that I didn't like. So I thought I would sit here and refilm, but it does mean that the lighting is going to be affected, but hopefully it'll be a better video anyway. So I hope you guys don't mind. So just a disclaimer, of course, because it is an unhaul, none of these books were bad. I haven't even read most of these books actually. They are just books that I've decided I don't need in my life. Either I've read them and they just weren't favourites, so I don't need to keep them, or they're just books that I've had so long that I'm no longer interested in reading. A lot of these books will be available on my Depop, which will have a link below if you're interested in any of them, because some of them are special editions and things, so I thought, if someone was interested in buying them, they are over there. So I'm just going to dive straight in no particular order, just want to show you what I'm getting rid of. Starting off with some graphic novels that I decided I won't be keeping. The first one is Monstrous Volume 1 by Marjorie Liu. I read this a couple of weeks ago now, and I'm just gonna be honest, I hated it. I gave it a 1 star. I didn't quite understand the concept of the story. The art style just wasn't my favourite either. Like, I did like parts of it, like it was very fantastical, but I think it was more the use of colours. I don't know, I've just read graphic novels that I prefer in terms of the colour and art style, so it wasn't my favourite personally. Didn't like the story, really do not want to continue, so there's no point in me holding on to this copy. And the second ones I'm getting rid of are like an opposite story, and that's Paper Girls Volume 1 and Volume 2. I think these are by Brian K. Vaughan. I really like these graphic novels. I think I gave them 3.5 and a 4. They are like Stranger Things 80s style graphic novels. Well, the first one is, and I really enjoy that theme. But the reason I'm getting rid of it is because in the second one we time travel to 2016. It becomes a lot more modern, and to be honest, that's not what I'm there for. I'm there for the 80s vibe. So I feel like as much as I loved that first one, I had my fill. I'm good now that I've read them. I won't reread them knowing what's to come. I have no intentions of continuing it because of where the Paper Girls Volume 2 went. So I'm just gonna get rid of them and give them on to someone else who might actually like where the series is going. But I do not think it's bad at all. The story was good, the art style's good. All around, really do recommend. I just don't need to continue with them. Next we have Nevernight by J. Kristoff. I've had this on my TBR for so long now, and I've been really interested by it. I filmed a try a chapter video that you guys never saw, but I did film and try a chapter of this, and I really enjoyed it, and I said I was gonna read it. But as time has gone on, and obviously J. Kristoff has a lot of drama and controversy around him, I don't want to start reading an author that is problematic when I don't need to. Do you know what I mean? Like, if I read this and then became hooked on the series, I'd be like, now I've got to spend more money on this author. This one was secondhand, luckily I got it on Depop, so I don't feel bad about like the fact I bought it and then didn't even read it. I'm just gonna get rid of it and not put myself in this situation where I might love a series with a problematic author. The next things that I'm getting rid of are actually something I hauled really recently, and that is the Daughter of Smoke and Bone series by Laini Taylor. I started reading this first book, Daughter of Smoke and Bone. I DNF'd it, I tried to pick it up again. Guess what, I've DNF'd it again. So I just do not need to keep the series because I won't be reading it. I've tried now to read both Daughter of Smoke and Bone, and I've tried to read Strange the Dreamer, that's the one. And I did not like both. I read 200 pages of both and nothing happened in 200 pages of both, which is clearly the author's writing style, and that is fine, but that is not something I like to read. That is not a style I vibe with. So instead of the fact, I've already wasted the time, but instead of wasting more time, I'm just gonna let them go, either to someone who wants them, my sister, if they're 14-year-old appropriate, I'm not sure, someone let me know. Another book that I just shouldn't have bought, but haven't even tried reading yet, is Black Sun by Rebecca Rowanhorse. I knew when everybody was reading this that I had no interest in it. It just didn't pull me or gravitate towards me at all. But then I found it in a charity shop for 50p and it's brand new. So I mean, obviously I was gonna pick it up. But I should have known that just because it's a good deal doesn't mean I was ever going to pick it up, because I didn't have any interest in it. But I have problems. and can't help myself. So I did pick this up anyway when I shouldn't have, and I was doing an unhaul of my TBR, just trying to get it down to like a reasonable number. And this one just doesn't cut it. I know that this will sit on my TBR for a year and I will just never have picked it up and it'll go again. Like I'm just going to cut the process time in half and just get rid of it now. It's a real shame because I'm sure this is a really good book. I mean, it's got such good reviews, but it's just not my kind of thing and I don't need it to be. Like I'm just happy to let it go to someone who wants it more. The next book is actually one I read, and that is Neverworld Wake by Marisha Pessel. I read this, I think, in a vlog recently, so you can go and see my vlog reading it if you'd like. It was actually a really good thriller. I really, really enjoyed it. I gave it 3.5, but I think the best part about this thriller was the unknown. The fact that I've read it now, I don't think would mean I'd ever reread it because, as I said, the best part is the unknown guessing of what's going to happen, and that won't be there for me the second time round, so it's not the kind of thriller I would reread myself. So instead I think I'll just pass it on, considering it's not a favourite or 5-star read of mine, because I would like other people to read this because it's very, very good. You know, I think someone else could get a lot of joy out of it. I do wish I could keep it for that beautiful cover though, but no, I'm just gonna let it go. I'm gonna be responsible. Another book that I read-ish is The Last House Guest by Megan Miranda. I DNF'd this 150 pages in, I think it was, because, oh god no, it was not good. I think I've just come to the conclusion Megan Miranda is not the author for me, I'm afraid, and I'm very upset about it, but I think it's just how it's gonna be. She's not for me. I'm gonna stop picking up all of her books now because as much as I want to like her, it's just not happening. Another DNF, oops, is Afterlove by Tanya Byrne. This came in our Fairy Loot edition, so it is like a digitally signed edition. I tried starting to read it about like 40 pages in. The premise sounds amazing, like, oh wow. So I was like, you know what, I wasn't willing to give it a try, and then I decided, you know, I'm actually gonna try. But even 40 pages in, it was so contemporary romancy. I mean, because that's what it is. But I wanted the like paranormal spin on it. I didn't want the contemporary romance because I don't read contemporary romance. And this one just, it felt trivial. They first met and it was like so insta-lovey and gross. I don't know, I just did not like this from the tiny portion that I read. And life's too short. Life is too short, so bye-bye. Nothing more to be said. And again, on the like vine of life is too short, this book just came out and it is Not Here to Be Liked by Michelle Quash. This is a brand new release again, between it's contemporary romance, shock horror. I'm trying to get into them, but it's just not for me. But the reason I'm getting rid of this is because I've not seen one good review. I mean, it's only just come out, and yeah, every review from people I know have been negative ones, or at least meh, like reviews, like 2 to 3s. I don't want to bother picking that up if that's the case. The things that they've not liked in it, I also don't like. A book that I really want to read, but just trying to get my TBR number down, it just didn't quite make the cut, but maybe I'll pick it up on an ebook, and that is The Boneless Mercies by April Genevieve Toshalki. This is like some witch book about the boneless mercies who are like this assassin group, but they're also witches, I believe. Maybe I got that wrong, but I think that's what it is. This has been on my TBR for so long, so even though I'm super interested by it, I can't keep it when it's been on for that long. It's been literally like 7 months or something like that. I'm obviously not going to read it no matter how much I want to, and I need to get that TBR number down. So this one did not quite make the cut, unfortunately. But again, as I said, like when my TBR is finally done and dusted, I feel like this is something I could pick up on ebook or audiobook form. But I really don't need the physical book now as I have no immediate plans to read it. Similar vibes again is Exciting Times by Louise Dolan. I've had it for so long. I think since like February. I want to read it, I really, really do, but I can't justify how long it's been on my TBR for when I haven't read it, so clearly not that bad. I think, again, I will just pick this up on audio or ebook in the future when I don't have a TBR to be stressed by. But as of right now, I'm trying to get my TBR to under 10 and it wasn't happening. Continuing with my Megan Miranda spiel, I am getting rid of The Girl from Widow Hills by Megan Miranda. I've just finally accepted the fact that she's not an author for me. And so I'm going to get rid of this even though I just bought it. I don't even think I've hauled it yet, it's so new. So I'm a bit frustrated with myself, but we're on a learning journey. learning journey. We're on a journey or a learning curve, I'm not sure. We're on a journey to stop myself from buying books that I do not need to buy, books that I just buy because I've seen them around or I know the author, not because I'm genuinely interested in it. Because when I actually read the synopsis, because I didn't when I bought it, I realised this sounds so boring, and I should never have bought it in the first place. So lesson learned, money wasted. Need to stop doing that. Again, a book that I really do want to read, but I just never did, is The Mothers by Brit Bennett. I hear so much about Brit Bennett's writing, and actually the next book I have to unhaul is The Vanishing Half by Brit Bennett. First of all, I should not have bought this when I had this on my TBR, because I should have discovered if I even liked Megan Miranda's writing style. No, Brit Bennett's writing style before I even started. But I did not do that research. And now I'm stuck with 2 books that I have not read yet, even though this one especially, this one I just bought because it's been hyped up. I'm not actually, well, not interested in it, but like the plot didn't like pull me to it or anything. Whereas this one I hadn't heard anything about, but the plot sounded so good, and it still does. But again, it has been on my TBR for one of the longest books that have been, so this has got to go for me. I can't do it anymore. A cover by was The Mermaid of Black, Conch by Monique Roffey. Saw the Costa Book of the Year award, saw the cover and thought, that's a book for me. No, it's not. No, it's not a book for you. It's not a book for you. I think it definitely would, from the synopsis and what I've like read of it, it seems to talk about a lot of important topics. I'm not saying this isn't like not a book that I would probably enjoy. I probably would enjoy it. But when your TBR is 60 books long, which I know isn't big for a lot of people, but it is for me, you have to prioritize. And I needed to get rid of some stuff, and I was like, this isn't getting picked up. It's so small and I still haven't picked it up. So repeating myself again, it just had to go. Another problem I'd like to bring awareness to about my buying habits is owning 2 copies of a book I have not read yet. Why do I do this? I do not know. So I have The Poppy War because I really wanted to read The Poppy War, not because I knew what it was about, but because everyone hyped it up. And to be fair, this sounds so up my alley, but everybody talks about a certain chapter and saying, like, some people like talk about how they threw up reading it, and I can't put myself through that. I read the trigger warnings and I just don't want to do it to myself. Honestly, this is for my mental health. As much as I'm sure this would be a 5-star read, and it's sad to not read it, I am not in that headspace, and I've got to look after myself. I don't want to read a book or even a chapter that's gonna do that to me. And yeah, the trigger warnings weren't good, so I was like, no. I'm good. But apparently I'd bought the hardback. Basically, this is out of print, so when I saw it on sale for Depop for way too much money, and it wasn't like it was a good deal, so I bought it. It was still way too much money, but I did it anyway. So now I own the hardback, and I haven't even read the book. I wish I'd stopped doing that. That is my new pledge to myself. I will not be buying any more books that I have not already read, like double copies of. I'm sure I will. But we'll kid ourselves for now. A book I again just DNF'd is The Great Garden by Meg Rossoff. This is like some cool edition with some ombre sprayed edges. I bought this because I saw some YouTubers that I like watching giving this like 5 stars. Like all of them read it at the same time and gave it all 5 stars. I read half of it, or not even, like not half, like just under half. I am so confused what the plot is. So the like actual description doesn't give you a plot. It just tells you that this guy, Kit Gordon's coming to the summer house and it's going to cause problems. I'm still not sure what the plot of the book is, even through halfway, and I couldn't do it to myself anymore. I don't care how short it is. Nothing happened. And I can't get on with a book that nothing happens for half of the book. The writing style was a little weird. I feel like the children were written in a way that children don't act. Or like teenagers. I don't know any teenagers that act like that. So it felt a little strange. Moving on to some of my special editions. I'm getting rid of The Bright and the Pale by Jessica Rubinowski. I really enjoyed this book, and it is going to be a duology. I really like the cover. I like the Fairy Loot edition. I think it is beautiful. There's like the most beautiful under just jacket art. But I realised to myself, I was having a little think, and this is a duology, and I feel like everything that happened in the first book was enough for me. I really enjoyed it, but I don't think I needed to get any more out of this world. I think the story was really good in the first book. I think it gave me all the plot I needed. It gave me the character development I needed. And I felt like the end was satisfactory enough for me. I can see that there's more to happen in the second one, but I don't need it. And instead of dropping £20 on another Fairy Loot edition of the second one, because I'd have to, because I want them to match, because I'm an idiot, I'm just not going to do it to myself. This was a 3.5. It wasn't anything spectacular. I'm glad I read it, don't get me wrong, but I'm going to pass this on. The next book that I'm getting rid of was again a DNF for me, and that is The Unbroken by C.L. Clarke. This was my Illumicrate edition. I read 200 to 300 pages, and I actually really did enjoy what I read. That isn't, you know, it was not a bad book by any means. I just had my fill of it. I was over it. I didn't particularly know where it was going to go. The writing did drag on a little bit, like 250 to 300 pages, and I really still feel like we hadn't gotten into the plot of the book yet. I know that I wasn't that invested in the characters. I didn't feel like there was that much development behind them for me to root for them. And so overall, it just wasn't gripping me, but it wasn't a bad book. You know what I mean? I was still enjoying it as I was reading it, but once it was put down, there was no feeling of like, oh, I want to pick that back up again, and it was so difficult to do so. And going along with that, a book that I heard was very similar was The Jasmine Thrown by Tasha Suri. So 2 reasons I'm getting rid of this. Number one is that I think it's going to be a lot like The Unbroken, because people compared it to The Unbroken, and therefore I just feel like, yes, it's just not going to be for me again. But also the people who've read it that I trust, and their reviews weren't very good. I think they gave it 2 stars and DNFs. So I'm just going to trust their opinion and be like, okay, never mind. Next we have Fire with Fire by Destiny Soraya. I was so excited to read this because I love dragons. When this came in the Fairy Loot box, I was so pleased. Had full intentions of keeping it, but when I was going through my like TBR Unhaul, I forced myself to read all the synopses for the books, even the ones that I thought I knew. And this one I realised, as much as it sounds awesome, it's set in like current day real world. Like they were going to school, and that just took my like interest away completely. I just don't like books like that. I don't want you to be sat in the real world and then a dragon turn up. That's not what I want. I want it to be in a fantastical world, maybe like or like in this world but past or future, not present. So I'm just gonna let it go, which I'm kind of sad about because I was really eager for it. And for the final like special edition, I have In the Ravenous Dark by A.M. Strickland. This is the gorgeous Illumicrate edition, I believe. Again, really wanted to read this, and I know a lot of people love this, and I was really hyped for it. But when I was unhauling, I just sat there and was like, again, it's sat on my TBR for quite a while, to the point where I'm not interested. It's more part of the furniture now than part of my bookshelf, if that makes sense. So, you know, when you've seen a book for so long, you no longer actually think of it as an option when you're reading. That happened to me with this book. And I'm just gonna let it go. The next book that I'm getting rid of is The Betrayals by Bridget Collins. I started reading it and I just didn't like it, so I DNF'd it, not very far in. I read The Binding by Bridget Collins, and the first half, like, they were split into 3 sections. Thought the first half was really slow and boring, loved the second half, and hated the third half. So I kind of expected this to be very hit or miss for me. But I was hoping a hit because it sounded really cool, but it just wasn't. I just really didn't like this book, sadly for me. Next, I'm getting rid of Cut Off by Adrian Finlay. This was so my cup of tea, with it being like this survival story, because I love dystopian survival stories, things like that. But this one I started reading and it just felt so YA. And I don't mean that as a negative, because obviously it's YA, that's fine. But it was definitely the lower end of YA age bracket. I just didn't want to read it. Like, I just thought, well, I want gruesome survival. You just don't find many adult gruesome survival stories, unfortunately. But yeah, this was not it. Next, we have something that I shouldn't have bought, and that's An Ember in the Ashes by Sabat Tahir. I bought a copy that I was really excited about, and it turned up signed and personalised, and I was like, oh, didn't expect that. But I heard a lot of good things about it. Like, this on Goodreads has like 250,000 ratings, and it's still in the 4 stars, which is amazing. I'm sure this is absolutely incredible. But again, my TBR is so big, and I had to prioritise, and this just didn't make the cut for me, so I'm gonna let this go, and someone I'm sure would be really happy to have a Sabbath here signed. It's a pleasure to be able to provide that to them because I just do want it. On a similar vein, a book I shouldn't have bought but I did and arrived signed when I didn't expect it was Flame in the Mist by Renee Ardier. I think this must be the Fairy Loot edition from when Fairy Loot wasn't so, you know, extensive with their customizations. I don't know why I bought this because I didn't like The Beautiful by Renee Ardier. I actually DNF'd it, so I don't know why I bought this, but in my moment of clarity when unhauling, I was like, girl, stop getting caught up buying books. Stop it. So this is gonna go and I've learnt my lesson. I know, it's just a repeat. Every time I see a book, I'm repeating myself. I know. Next we have something that breaks my heart, and that is A Discovery of Witches by Deborah Harkness, and this is the beautiful US paperback that I spent way too much money on. It's super floppy. Ugh. Why did I spend so much money on you? I do not know. I saw a YouTuber that I really like watching, and I still like watching, give this a 5 stars. I've since realised that we just don't have the same reading taste, so when they rate something highly, I actually think I probably won't like that. But that's great too, because that helps me with my reading a lot. But that when I didn't know that, I went out and bought the really nice copy because I was like, oh, I'm gonna love that. And they had the really nice copy. Like, why do I do that? Why do I go out and buy special editions of books I don't know I like? I'm so frustrated with myself. I'm sure you're frustrated watching me. I'm more frustrated with myself, don't worry. We're just letting it go. For goodness sake, Brooke. Next we have Such a Quiet Place, again, by Megan Miranda. We've talked about Megan Miranda enough. I'm just letting go of the books by her. I just don't need them. And the last thing I have to show you is actually really, really sad, and I'm very upset to be getting rid of, but that is my Stalking Jack the Ripper series by Kerry Maniscalco. I'm sorry, I really like the first one quite a lot. Like, you can see my tabs. I need to take them out, but I really enjoyed this. I gave it 4 stars. But these other 2 books weren't it. I gave this a 2 and I DNF'd it. I don't like historical fiction, so I don't know why I picked it up. But I really liked Kingdom of the Wicked, and I thought, I love Kerry Maniscalco's writing. Let me try more. And I do, but at the same time, nothing really happens in these last 2 books at all. I feel like this should have been a standalone. Also, everybody is in love with Thomas Croswell. I don't get it. I'm not in love with him in any way, shape or form. I think he's just an arrogant man. So yeah, we're getting rid of these as well. Controversial opinions today, I know. So that is my ridiculous unhaul. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. I know it is the opposite of my usual content of a haul, but hopefully you will not be seeing too many more of those from me because I need to curb my buying habits. Thank you so much for watching, and I shall see you in the next one. Bye!